Hey everybody, this is a final update video on the testing of the main landing gear on my 1/10 scale C-130. Here you can see just cycle testing I was doing. The lead screw I ended up with just a threaded rod. All the other ones just didn't work the way I thought. The Acme screw I got from a master car, it worked pretty well, but it just didn't seem to be as easy to get to line up and make work as the all thread was, just because it was easier to bolt together and machine together. There are thrust washers at the top that carried the weight of the landing gear. Somebody asked me that in a private message yesterday off Facebook. But this just shows that I am able to get over 100 cycles on my battery, so that's, way more than I need. Here you're going to see a picture of the upper limit switch. Somebody asked me if I could show a zoomed in picture of the limit switch, the way it worked on the track. So the main gear block was made out of nylon 6, and basically the gear block would slide up and down the track, and the top of the block would come up and hit that limit switch there, and it would stop it. Boom. So the nice thing is this system was just so robust and so simple. On the far right you can see the over travel, and you're going to see me test that in a minute. And I vigorously tested this thing. I probably had over 500 cycles on it before it went actually into the airplane. And here's a test of the over travel. So imagine the gear block ran up and passed the first limit switch, and it hit that. Basically that just opens up the circuit to the motor, so it just makes it an open circuit. So the final development of the landing gear and getting the sequencers and everything right just took time and tweaking. But I was really happy with the way it ended up. And the whole landing gear would sequence in about 14.5 seconds, which was perfect. I did leave the door here open for about 4 seconds earlier until I get the plane completely done, just in case something were to hang up. I was just paranoid, so that was just adjustable in my little microcontroller. And I was just paranoid. I was just totally paranoid that something would get hung up. But I'm sure if you followed all the development of this, you understand I just don't want anything eating itself up. And then I just ended up doing nothing but cycle testing. And I believe I ended up with the entire main gear being cycled in the airplanes with the airplane in the airplane with the wheels on, and the brake system and everything operating. I ended up with over 250 cycles. Testing it going up and down, and it just worked flawlessly. One of the most rewarding projects I've ever designed and made. It's just flat out, without a doubt, just awesome the way it worked. And the hardest thing about getting this all to work was just how many times I had to cut and retry and get things together, and just to make it work in harmony. There you can see the gear doors cycled a little bit different. The gear doors gets its final activation signal from the last limit switch that shuts. So those doors are waiting for command until the limit switch for the up landing gear is struck, and then once it's struck, then the doors are given the command to close. So if one motor is running at 350 RPM, the other motor is running at 300 RPM, that door won't close until that individual motor's hit its final limit switch. So there's 2 limit switches, one for each motor. So as the wheels are going up right now, there's 2 limit switches. It's when the last limit switch closes that the servo is given the activation time to come up, and there's a delay I can put on that, and the delay sometimes as much as 5 seconds. And I played around with all the different delays just to see how it would work and how it would operate. So just kind of to review real quick, the way the microcontroller worked is it had a 12-volt signal going into it. It had the receiver going into it from my radio. It had 2 outputs for 2 servos, which was one servo on each side for the landing gear door. It had 4 outputs for the motors, for the 4 motors. And then it had the limit switches being up and the limit switches being down. And basically what would happen is, as the 2 limit switches came up, as the last one struck, that closed the circuit. And that gave the command for the door to close. And it was just a flawless system. It just, as you can see, it worked pretty cool. One thing that my buddy who's got the airplane now, he said that he was concerned about, and I told him I don't know if it's a big concern, is he wondered if the wind going through the air would cause that door to move in and out and touch the wheels or anything. And those doors are really stout. I mean, that's 1/8 inch light plywood as the ribs in it. So I don't see those doors going anywhere in the wind stream when the plane's flying. But as you can see here, I cycled these things a ton. I originally planned on using basically a large cam and a bell crank to do the doors, just like the real C-130. The problem I was having is there's just not enough real estate in there for me to get strong enough push rods and linkage onto that door that would actually fit up into that wheel well. And I mean, in CAD it fit, but when I started to actually build it, it didn't fit. That's one of the hardest things, and for me, is when I design it in 3D CAD. You know, things just don't fit the way when you build it. I'm not sure how much you all have done stuff in 3D, and then you go to build it and realize, oh, wait a minute, that 440 bolt looked, you know, small and it's huge, and you know, so forth. But that's pretty much this final update video, everybody. I do have some videos coming up about the nose gear and the doors, and then the final testing of all the nose gear and the main gear together. But as far as the main gear development, it's pretty much done in this video, and it worked flawlessly. The brakes worked great. Everything was spot on. So rock on, everybody. Have an awesome day and be safe.